Well, hello, good evening to you, good afternoon. If this is where this message is going to find you, or this post, this podcast, The Rude Boy Sound for Tottenham, USA, I'm DJ Paul, and this is the Spurs Review. And being that we are on the international break as it is, right? We're thankful for that. We haven't lost any games in a week and a half. That's the inside joke with Tottenham right now, the going comedy feature of the club that some people say we are. I choose not to say that. I just think that we're going through a very rough patch, and so we're going to ride it out. And saying that, right, I'm about to play backroom staff, chairman, maybe. No one wants to be Daniel Levy. I choose to put my neck under the hatchet or the axe to play Daniel Levy in these instances. Let me say this before I start putting my neck on the line, is that all of this is just is conjecture is a term, a little projections on what my expectations are towards the end of the season. I think we're in a position wherein we can only better our position in the league coming up against Chelsea, seeking those 3 points, even though I thought we would have done better against Fulham. And to my disappointment, it actually started from the team selection. And I can say this, if you haven't heard before, I have zero confidence in Ange, right? That's first and foremost, that tactically he can turn around anything that needs to be turned around. I think should we win the Europa League, which I hope we do for the sake of the club, and then I'm going to be willing to bear the pain of watching Ange not being able to execute a tactical game. That's a trade-off I'll take. We win something, we should be good. That being said, I am going to look at this particular video as though I don't know who the manager is going to be. I have absolutely no idea who the manager is going to be at the end of the year. And so we can look at it to say, if I'm trying to put a team together based on what are there already, and I'm looking for a team that can compete, I'm going to pick from what we have. Let me put this over here. What we currently have, and to see how we can best now go out and find players. And so, as we look at that roster, it's over 30-something players that are on there, with 8 of them pretty much on loan. So when you look at it and you bring it down, I think we have something like maybe 18 to 19 or 20 players between the bench and the starting 11. When you look at the slide that I'm going to drop over here now, I'm just going through the different categories of players that are at the club. I think I'm missing one category, which was players that I actually said I would have sold. But within the conversation, I'm not going to go back and redo that slide. But within the context of what I'm saying, you will get the picture. Because as we look at it, we're looking to say, hey, these are all the players that we have here. Regardless of what happened, more powers to us if we win the Europa League. That will be fine. It means that now we can add quality to what I'm about to do here. When you look at the bench and you see who are contributing from the bench, the standout that's coming from there are just 2 players, maybe 3. Dragushin did do his thing when he before he got injured, before he went down. Gray is actually the standout player, and Spence of all, is definitely the standout players from this bench. And so, with Richarlison was injured, T. Motel, Moore, Odebert, Johnson, Benton, Kirk, Gray, Bissouma, Reguilon, Davis, Scarlett, Dragushin, Danzo, Spence, Austin, Kinski, and Foster. Now, of all those names that we have there, we're talking about 8, 11, 13, and 4, 17 to 18 players that we have on this particular list. And all of this is a part of the first team. If everyone is healthy, this would be the first team bench that we have with all the healthy bodies right now. So Dragushin is out because of injury. Danzo, I think, might come back, once the international break is over. I don't know. I have to look that up again. I apologize. I did not do a deep dive into whether or not those players are going to come back. I think Kulusevski will be back after the international break. So technically, we are only going to have 2 players out on injury unless somebody get injured over the international break. And let me just say this before I'm going to get to the starters that I have, and then I'm going to come back to the bench because there's something that I want to explain once I come back to the bench. So let me jump over and get to the starters just to reiterate what the point I'm trying to make in terms of players that we have. So you saw what was on the bench there. Let me jump over let me move myself out the way, and I'll come back let me get out the way so you can see all the players that are there. Let me move myself around, get myself out the way there, and then I can come back, drop myself in there. Okay, so I'm a starter as well. So these are the starters that I'm proposing that we use, and I'll explain a little bit more for the rest of the season. I'm going with Son, Solanke, Kulusevski, Madison, Sarr, Bergvall, Udogie, Van de Ven, Romero, Porro, and Vicario. This is a lineup that I personally like. It doesn't mean that that's what Andrew's thinking, but this is a lineup that I think is athletic enough, healthy enough, so that we can keep a set team together, regardless of what is going to happen against Chelsea. If every one of these players come back, this is the 11 that I would love to see. And the caveat to that, I would love to see them starting. And not only that they will start against Chelsea, but they will also start against Southampton. And the reason why I want these players to have over 100 and something minutes together, somewhere in the region of 140 minutes for the bulk of this together, because now we are working towards the only thing that we have that we can look forward to is to play against Frankfurt. And so, therefore, you don't want to be chopping and changing going into the Frankfurt game. So any team, even if this is not exactly how Andrew's going to line up, just for argument's sake, any team that is going to start, right, if it's not this 11, any team that is going to start must play the bulk of the minutes in the 2 games to make sure that we are gelling together. Because the objective, like I said, towards the end of the season is for respect. I didn't say that before, but I'm going to say it now. Is for respectable place, picking up points in the Premier League. We're 13 for heaven's sake. So the only thing we can be playing for is some form of respect. I think the last time we finished above 10, we finished 13, maybe 15, 16, 17 years ago. Something like that. We finished maybe 13th or something like that. So it's a long time. And then the lowest we have finished, I think we finished 8th twice. So within that span, I think between Pochettino and the rest of our managers that were around. So it took us a long time before we have fallen so far in the Premier League. That being said, I was very disappointed that the team that played against the last game that we came back and won, the game before the Fulham game, that same team did not start. I did not see the reason why, because now you'd have said and established now that, look, I'm going to play these guys together and let them get familiar with playing more than 2 games together. And so we lost that already. So the only thing we can do now, regardless of what, I'm just going to start that's the first team that he now has is full team, no injuries to report, that's a team that is going to take us as a first team, as a starting level for the rest of the season. So we, as a matter of fact, let's not say for the rest of the season, but as far as we go in the Europa, as long as we are in the Europa League, then whatever the starters are, it has to be catastrophe. Players have to be really, really bad. This is not a time for trial and error when we're trying to put Gray as a holding midfielder versus playing Bissouma or Bentancur, who has more experience playing there. I don't mind Gray being a part of the midfield. I will address that later. And so, in my opinion, you find a starter, you nail on that this is what we're going to use for the rest of the season, and you build your tactics, you build your strategy. Who is going to be first off the bench? You don't have to go that way all the time, but at least you start having an idea who is going to be your first off the bench. We know we have to give Van de Ven a break, so therefore we lose an attacking player because now we have a player that we definitely need to protect, so we're not going to put 90 minutes in his leg. You have to start thinking about stuff like that. So right away your attacking is going to lose 1 out of 5. Right, that you can make changes in that regard. So you have to start putting those things in place. You still have to look at Romero coming back and say, well, do I want Romero to go 90 minutes? So you could lose up to 2 attacking player, 2 attacking substitute, because you have to protect your back line. And so the thinking has to be like that. And so this would be my starting 11 that I would use. And so when it comes on to getting players in the groove, you make sure that you try to get some familiarity, because the only thing that should matters right now is that you're looking forward and pressing forward towards playing Frankfurt. That should be the only reason that we exist. We are not going to get eliminated or relegated in the Premier League. The gap is too wide for the teams that are doing so bad. And plus, we're supposed to beat Southampton. So everything else is with us as far as the relegation is concerned. So I'm not going to spend any time with that. When we look at the bench that we have, like I said, I want to put a team together based on who we have and in case Angie's not here. So the idea is that looking at the team, who is going, who is staying. And I wanted to just do the starting 11 and the bench. I'm not going to go into the squad. I will do another video where I can get right into who is supposed to leave in terms of the squad itself. But just for this video, what I'm going to do is that if I were choosing players that have to leave from this squad, from this 11, the first team that encompasses this bench and the starting 11, and I'll start with the bench right now, and from that bench I would just say, and I'm going to start at the bottom here. Let me jump over so you can see what I'm talking about. I'm not sure that my cursor is picking up on screen. I don't think it is. I have to get that corrected. On my Mac it does, but I don't think it actually happened on my PC, and I'm on my PC now. So Richarlison is going to head the list pretty much in terms of players that are going to leave. Let me take a second look at something here. Let me see something here. Okay, this player was right here. This right here. Let's move this around. I was hiding somebody. Oh, there he is. Tell, my man Tell. So let me tell you something about Tell before I tell you about Richarlison. I like Tell. I like him, but it's hard to really shell out $50 million for one goal and some effort. Sign him in. Timo is out the door. Richarlison should be out the door. So all three at the top there should be out the door. Regulon should be out the door. No sentiments at all with Davis. Davis, this should be his last year. Austin, I think, should actually be out the door as well. He needs to restart his career. He showed enough that a team can pick him up, even if it's in the championship or he needs to go abroad. He has been abroad before, so it wouldn't be far-fetched for him to go out again. We're going to keep Kinski, and Foster has to go. Danzo, for me, I will hold on to Danzo. I think, depending on the price, Danzo show enough that he will be a good coming off the bench and can do the spot start. And I will tell you a little bit more why I will keep Danzo. So let me jump to Dragoshin is a must. Spence, even though I don't see Spence starting, in my book I wouldn't have started him because he's too versatile. I would rather start Paro, who is less versatile in terms of playing multiple positions. That is why I would start Spence, who can come on at the left side in case Udogie goes down, and Udogie will be the left-sided fullback. Gray, as it is, of course, is a keeper, and so for him, we'll definitely try to build around him, even though we'll try to find a better number 6, because in my book, I think Bissouma and Benton Kerr should also be on the block as well. So basically from this bench, as you look at it, Scarlett, let me just give you a little piece on Scarlett. I've seen Scarlett enough. I've seen Dane Scarlett enough. And sometimes a comparison is not fair. But let me jump over a bit and see if I can get a little bit more of me in explaining my reason on Dane Scarlett. Now, I've seen Parrot before, and I have similar feelings when Parrot was at Spurs. Especially, I saw a game in the United States when he played against Juventus, and I was like, yes, that's the kind of striker, that's the kind of move, that's the kind of kid that is going to kick on. And he just didn't. And I'm beginning to see the same thing with Dane Scarlett as well, that Dane Scarlett is not really kicking on. I wouldn't say that he's inconsistent. I just think that he has not shown me that he can grab the bull by the horn. I don't think he's showing me anything that's clinical. Scoring good goals, right? When you get a chance and an opportunity, does not constitute for me what I'm looking for. You have players who can light up the highlight reel, but they're going to do that every 7 or 8 games. You need to see the same kind of consistency over a number of games. The movements have to be there for me. And I don't see the movements from him as a striker. I think for Dane Scarlett, to be honest with you, if I were coaching him, right, I would have turned him into a left winger, pretty much turned him into a left winger, and I think you'd have gotten more out of him. I think he would have been more like a Jared Bowen, or will improve over time and get better over time. That's the kind of game that I think he has. Or even someone like a Joe Linton, because he's a big kid, that he would enhance his game. But for what the club need right now and the effort that needs, I don't see him. I actually think Velez, it will, show more as a striker and his movements and his body position more than Dane Scarlett. And that's my take on Dane Scarlett. I don't have to be right. You don't have to. I'm not trying to convince you. I'm just telling you why. If it was for me, I would have either sent him back out on loan, or for him, even though he's very young, I would probably say, you know what? Go on, young man. Go have yourself a career. I don't want a Dane Scarlett to be another Skip or a Winks or Edwards or a Carroll. It's better you let him go. Stop looking at the potential that's there and decide that, you know what? The potential is not turning into actual results, and therefore I would let Dane Scarlett go. Very harsh, but sentiments is not part of the job. You have to be brutal in the assessment, and if the assessment tells you that he's not growing at the rate that he's supposed to, then you have to let him go and let him go out there and go fend for himself. So I would have let Dane Scarlett leave at some point. So if I were to just give a recap on the players that are supposed to be out of here from the bench, I would say Richarlison, T. Motel, Benton, Kerr, Bissouma, Reguilon, Davis, Austin, Foster, and that's it. So all I'm retaining from that, maybe Scarlett. I'm probably not going to be too harsh on him. I'm going to say Moore, Odebert, Johnson, Scarlett, Dragushin, and I'm keeping Danzo, Spence, and Kinski. So it's pretty much half of the bench is supposed to be out of here, if you ask me, and that should open up a window for now to bring in more players. Some of them who are in the squad, which I'm not the squad, but the overall first teamers who are either out on loan to come back, or they're affecting the first team of the club in some way. Either they're on loan to come back, or they went out on loan and some should not come back. Whatever it is, that this group that I showed before, let me jump back over to it if I may, just 30 seconds. Let me see if I can find that slide with the list of all the players. That's a full squad. So let me get myself out of the way here, and let me show you the full squad, what the full squad looks like. Let me get myself out of the way. Oh, I'm good right here. So that's not this. That's a squad, but that's not what I'm looking for. Let me see if I can find what I'm looking for here. The number of players. Oh, so here it is. So let me get myself down here. Get myself out of the way. I like when I'm talking, I'm on screen, y'all. So let me make myself small down here in the corner here, or this little corner here, and then I will show you. Okay, so let me jump over. So that's the full squad that's there. If you notice, like I said before, there's Iberg in there, Donnelly, Devine, Keeley, Whitman, Dorrington, Donnelly. I think I have Donnelly twice. How did I do that? Lukovic, Vuskovic, Luka Vuskovic, and Phillips as well is in there as players, young players that are out there on loan. Gill, I'm not sure we're going to have Gill back. That's why I didn't want to touch this. Velez is out there as well. So this is everybody who at some point between the summer of last year was a part of the first team. This is all we have in terms of players under contract with the club are coming up from the academy. So that's what I'm going to address. From this, I would address who should go and who would stay, but just wanting to break down from the between our current bench and starters who we think should be leaving the club this summer and who we think can come in, or do we need to go out and buy more players? I think we should, and I think we should move along. Now, the hard part of what I did not touch before I venture off into that sinkhole over there is whether or not there are players from the first team that I would like to see the back of. And you bet you're darn right I am going to tell you exactly what I think about some of these players who I want to, be out of the club this summer. It is going to be a shocker for some, but like I said, there are no sentiments in what I am trying to lay out here. So I've given you who I want from the bench. Half the bench is supposed to be gone. No surprise. I think lots of you will agree with me, except for maybe one or two players. Here comes the kicker, and I'm going to explain. I'm going to start with Porro. I think Pedro Porro not improving as much as I would have liked as a fullback. I think he should go where he can go play as a wingback. I think that will suit him. He learns enough already here, and he has developed into a nice player. But for a fullback, I don't think he's capable enough of holding down the fullback position full time. So he should move on. So him, if I get something for him, I will definitely sell Pedro Porro. As a matter of fact, I would put Pedro Porro on the market. Another player who I would accept something for, I probably would not put him on the market, but if there's an offer coming in for him, I will definitely jump at it, and that will be Kulusevski. I will take a Kulusevski offer, and I will say thank you very much, because Kulusevski to me is a 1.5 dimensional. It's a one-dimensional, but for me he has a half, because he plays on the inside as well. He plays so he fancies himself being a number 10 or a number 8. He's definitely not a number 8, pretty close to a number 10, and I still don't think he's a number 10. I think he is a false 9. And so for that reason, I think what is happening is that he's meddling so much with the creative areas, because he's not as creative as one might think. He doesn't get the ball out fast enough. He's a carrier, but he's not a burner. And therefore, the man that he beats up the field is the same man that's tackling him. I don't think he's fleet of foot enough. With the pace that he has, he's not going anywhere, and therefore I would have taken something for him, and his heat map is very, very weird. He's right down the middle and to the right consistently. Nothing really happens on the left, and I want someone who can cover grounds in terms of getting the ball on the left. If you're going to be a player who's going to come in and substitute and be versatile enough to play as a number 10 or the number 8, in a case if Mattis is not in and you're there, then that should be your job, because you can't play as a number 8. You have to play as a 10 or a false 9. And so for that reason, I would move Kulusevski along, because his role is conflicting with Madison. I rather see a Madison and a Bergvall in the middle of the park, and therefore we can go out and find another number 10 or another number 8, because as you see from the bench, I'm actually getting rid of Bissouma and I'm getting rid of Bentancur. So we definitely need a number 8, which could have been Alfie Divine. And so we have that maybe in our closet already that we need to unleash. So let's see how that works. But for me, I will definitely get rid of Kulusevski if the opportunity comes. James Madison, I think I'll hold on to James Madison for another year. I think he's the only one, including Bergvall, let me not say the only one, Bergvall, who can definitely put their feet on the ball and slow the game, direct the game, and control the game. There's no one else on the field that definitely have the ability or show that ability to do that on this team. Sarr is fine. He can hang around. I think he's improving. Need a little bit more, what do you call it? He gave away the ball a lot. So he needs to get a control of that and be a little bit more consistent in his play. He needs to be stouter. I know he tackles a lot, he runs a lot, he does everything, but he needs to be a little bit more stouter in his whole approach, especially when he's playing at the number 6 position. So Sarr, I will definitely keep. Of course, we're not going to touch Udogie or Van der Ven. That leaves me with the captain and the vice captain, and these I'm going to leave the captain for last, and don't be surprised that I will definitely, of all the players from the entire roster, the first player, love him to death, but the first player I will definitely put on the market is Romero. I think Romero has not contribute enough for his talent. I think he's injury prone, and I cannot have my number one or my number two center back playing less than 80% or less than 75% of the game per year. So therefore, I will take a flyer. I will take the chance with putting him on the block, and whatever comes in for him, I'm sure Ramirez is valued anywhere over 65 million, so probably we can get that for him. But it's certainly over 50. Over 50, I don't think is a bad shout, and therefore I would put Romero on the block. And then last but not least, Sonny. I will not put Sonny on the block, but I would encourage offers if it comes in for Sonny. Even if Son does not go on the block, I will still want to go out and get a big-time player to complement Solanke, just the way I would go out and, or I will let Kulusevski go. I still don't trust Johnson, but those are moves that we have to make, because then we have to see what's in the market. And even then with Son, let me jump back over to Son for an explanation, is that Son, even if he doesn't go anywhere, I still want a player. Odegaard might not be the guy, because I'm going to switch Odegaard and put him on the right-hand side, and then I'm still going to need a big-time winger, someone who can beat his man consistently. There's nothing wrong with platooning an aging Son. If the offer comes in and it looks good, I will take it any day for Son. There is no time for sentiment. It's all about the club, all about building back a club that can take us back into the top six. And therefore, yes, he can sit on the bench and wear the armband when he comes on the pitch, but I will not hesitate to let Son go. And this is the reason why. We saw that with Kane. We saw how laboring it was to get Kane to go. And so you don't want another instance wherein Son is holding down a spot, and look what we end up doing is that we never have anyone behind Kane. We end up spending $65 million on Solanke, which I think is an exorbitant amount of money for the level of Solanke's skill. And therefore, if you're looking for a big-time player, another goal scorer, it simply means that Son has to make way one way or the other, even on the bench, or if we just sell him outright. But either way, we need to go find a scorer to complement Solanke, and we don't have that in the squad, to be honest with you. So that's my take on it. You let me know what's your take. I will sell Sonny. Of course I will. I have no sentiments towards moving players along, because Sonny value is not going to get any higher than what it is right now. So I would leave it at that. Might be a sour note for some fans, but that's just my take. Play in executive chairman, the director of football, the chief scout, the head scout, the manager. That was me today, wearing all the hats today at the Tottenham review. This is the rude boy DJ Paul for Tottenham USA, and I'm out of here. Peace, be good, walk good. Until next time. Come on, you Spurs.